Okay, so it's been quite a while now since I've done a topical video, so I thought just for a change I'd do one of those. So this one is kind of posing the question, does having a backlog piss you off? For me, retro-wise, I'm not really bothered. The fact that I buy far more games than I play retro-wise doesn't bother me. I do play a hell of a lot of arcade-style games, and a lot of games I can just jump in and out of. You know, so I could pick up Sega Rally and just play that. I don't have to complete it. I don't have to do the championship mode. I can just do time trial and just try and beat my score and just really get on with that game. I can play Streets of Rage and just, you know, have a blast on that. So there's a lot of arcade style games and stuff that I can play on. I've got quite a lot of, I prefer buying, collecting RPGs and adventure games, just because they're the kind of games I like to play. Doesn't matter that I haven't got round to playing all of them. I think retro wise as well, I think the reason why I don't get annoyed so much about having a backlog of retro games is the fact that I feel like eventually I'll get round to them, and that, you know, again, it's about collecting them. It's about, for me, it's about preserving them as well for, you know, the future, and having a bit of history and delving into the history of the games and the companies and people who made the games and stuff like that. So, you know, I mean, I don't shove them up in the loft out the way or anything, you know, and I try not to get too carried away. So I'm not really bothered about having a backlog of retro games. I feel, you know, I feel comfortable that I can just pick a system and pick a game and just play it and just enjoy it for, you know, what it is, and appreciate the work that's gone into it and the history of the game and that. So retro-wise I'm not bothered, but having a backlog, current gen-wise, really has got on my nerves this generation. It really has. Let me take you back to when I was younger. So during the Master System, Game Boy and SNES days, they're the systems I had. I didn't have a backlog of games that I was waiting to play. Basically, I mean, I never bought games brand new, ever, with my own money. The only times I ever got brand new games was either on my birthday or at Christmas, and then it was only once in a blue moon, you know. That wasn't like the rule every birthday and every Christmas, and I wasn't looking at magazines and, you know, thinking, oh, that's the latest game, or oh, I've got to have that and stuff. I didn't have money for the magazines, and there wasn't really any proper, you know, official game, national game retailers at the time, at least not in my area. It was all like, it was all independent shops and stuff, and to be honest, they didn't really have any new games in there. It was all pre-owned and stuff, so there you go. Yeah, so any money that I did have, I'd spend on buying pre-owned games. That was new to me, but that was pre-owned. So I didn't have this big backlog of games. I didn't have like the thought of, oh, that's a new game, I've got to have it. I just went into a shop, looked around, and whether a game was had been out for a couple of years or was brand new, I had no idea. It was just there, and if I wanted it, if I could afford it, I'd buy it. And yeah, so I mean, if I look at the Master System, I'd complete a game. Well, there's a few that I completed, but I'd play a game and I'd play the absolute shit out of the games. I mean, really get my money's worth out of them for months and months on end. I'd just play them and play them and play them. I wouldn't even complete most of them. And some of them, like thinking recently, things like Back to the Future, I mean, games like that, I never even got off the first level, but I just kept going back. And it was only like, you know, after some time had passed, I would think, oh, I want a new game, and I'd get a new game. And sometimes I'd either swap the ones that I didn't want, or with friends, or at these independent stores, or I'd actually buy another game. So by the time I was ready for another game, it wouldn't be a brand new game as in just released. It might have been out for quite some time, but I would just go into a shop, pick a game, and knowing the fact that I was ready to get another game, because all the other games I'd played for, you know, just absolutely ages, months, time, you know. So I was ready for another game, and moving on to the Game Boy, I did the same. You know, played the absolute hell out of the games I already had. Only then was I ready and thinking, well, I know I'll get another game, and play the hell out of that, and then move on. Same with the SNES, I'd play the absolute shit out of the games that I had. Only then would I either swap games with mates, or I used to borrow them actually. We used to lend each other games and play the shit out of the games and give them back. And you know, and same with the PlayStation. I didn't really have that. To be honest, with the PlayStation, I kind of wasn't as into gaming then as I was with the SNES and that. There was a lot of impressive games in there, but I think the PlayStation didn't have the wow factor on me. It just didn't blow me away. There's a lot of impressive games on there, don't get me wrong. You know, I'd look at a game and think, wow, this is awesome, but I wasn't absolutely blown out of the water like I was with the you know, the Game Boy and the SNES and the Master System. And yeah, but even with the PlayStation, I'd have a game, I'd play the absolute crap out of it for ages, and only then would I get another game. In fact, with the PlayStation, there was very few games that I actually bought and even completed. Like I said, I just kind of went off gaming with the PlayStation. I wish I got a Sega Saturn, to be honest, but I don't think I even knew the Sega Saturn was around really at that time. It was just so off the map. Anyway, moving on. The thing that even up into the PS2 days, you know, with the PS2 days, I did the exact same thing. My kind of, when I got back into gaming, my habits never changed. I bought a game, I played the absolute crap out of it, and then I moved on. And even then I kept going back to games and playing the hell out of them. I mean, like Medal of Honor Frontline, I was playing that the whole time I had a PlayStation. From the moment it was released, and I bought it, to the time that I got rid of my PlayStation 2, which was a stupid thing to do. Same with other games like the Two Towers and the Return of the King. Just kept playing them over and over again. And Killzone I kept playing. I never completed that game, but I did play it quite a bit. Yeah, and I'd only move on once I was properly done and overly done with a game, you know, just played the hell out of it. And only then would I move on to another game. I think what gets me about this generation is, I don't know what it is, I think with the internet and everything now, games are just getting, when games just go so low and get so cheap, you just keep picking them up, and then you get this backlog, and you're looking at it and thinking, well, I've got to play this game, I've got to play this game, and you get just backlog just keeps getting higher and higher, and yet it's taking you ages just to complete that one game. I think games got bigger as well, obviously, but it just annoys me how I can't spend time with a game, complete it, play the shit out of it, and then have some time where I'm not playing anything, and then think, oh, I'm ready for another game, and just move on. Now it's like I've already got like a mountain of games before I've even started the next game that I want to play. It's just crazy. It's just getting on my nerves. I'm trying now. There's a few games left that I've got to play on the 360-wise. Then obviously there's a few arcade games that I want to get, you know. They're going to release Shenmue 1 and 2, fingers crossed. and Skies of Arcadia. I'll get those, and I think that's pretty much it really. Full games wise, I think there's three or four left that I've got. 3 after the one that I'm playing now, and that's a lot. And then I've just, I'm not going to try and keep up to date with every single new release that's coming out for the Nintendo Wii when I get one. I'll just buy a game, I'll play it, and then I'll move on. I want to go back to the PlayStation days where I just played the game, played the shit out of it. Didn't really, I mean, with the PS2 days, I did keep a bit of an eye on a few games. A couple would be like Medal of Honor Rising Sun, San Andreas, Return of the King a little bit, but the biggest one for me that I kept an eye on, reading as much as possible about, was Brothers in Arms, and its sequel. What was the sequel called? I can't remember now. Yeah, I kept an eye on those games, but I didn't keep an eye on every single game. It was more or less just go to the shop, see what was there, pick up a game. But there was a few that I really kept an eye on to see when they was getting released. But even then, I made sure that there was nothing, absolutely nothing that, I was waiting to play. I was completed everything, and I was just waiting around, waiting for a game to be released. I want to go back to that. I don't want a mountain of games anymore piling up that I'm needing to play. I don't want, I don't want to keep an eye on like 10 games, and then over a Christmas period having to buy all those 10 games and thinking, well, I've got to play these games now, and taking a whole year to get around to them. Because even now I've got games for the 360 that I've had for years, and I still haven't got around to playing them, which is stupid really. It really is stupid. I know the games are cheap, but unless I'm ready to play them and I'm going to play them, then what's the point in buying them? It's not like they're 30 years old and it's kind of a collecting thing, and that they might become rare, or I want to pick them up to play them sometime in the future. It's just the fact that they're cheap and it's current gen. I can't think of any other reason. It's just getting on my nerves, and I kind of want to move on. I want to get back to the PlayStation days. I don't know how other people are the same, but I just feel that with this current generation, with games getting longer, I'm spending more times on the games. Plus I've got less time to play the games, and I want to spend more time with retro games. So that's perhaps why I haven't got as much time to play 360 games. And and just the cheapness of the games, after they've been out like half a year, they're dirt cheap, and if you got a spare cash, you think, oh, I'll pick that up, and it just gets out of control. I've got to stop doing that, and just look for a game when I'm ready to play a game, rather than being 10 games ahead and buying like 10 games ahead before I've even finished it, playing the game that I'm on, because it's like I said, it's just getting a bit silly really. I don't know how other people feel about it, but that's what I plan to do with the Wii U, and I'm quite looking forward to the Wii U. I kind of hope now that they do have that sedate kind of release lineup. Like, I know they're going to get a lot more third-party support now, but I hope it will be a little bit more sedate than perhaps the 360 and the PS3. I see it as an advantage now, rather than hampering the system. With the Wii, I got rid of it because I was waiting for so long for a game to be released that I wanted. It was just crazy, and in the end I just thought, you know what, I'm sick of waiting, I'm getting rid of the Wii. And plus, there was just constant bombardment of shovelware, and I just thought, so much shovelware coming out on a daily basis, yet the actual proper games to play, are just waiting so long, I'm just going to get rid of it. But now I see that as an actual advantage for the system, rather than hampering it. If they can, get the right amount of space in between the games, then that'd be great. Because as well, this is another thing, it's silly how they get released now on current gen games, because you find that all the games get released, all the best games get released in such a short space of time. So it's like October, November, December, and then maybe you'll get one in January or two, and you might get like, you know, 7 or 8, you know, AAA titles released over those 3 months, and the rest of the year, especially during the summer times, it's absolutely barren, and I mean barren. You know, hardly any games released. That really gets on my nerves as well. That's just got to stop. And some of these companies who think, oh well, we've released a AAA title here and we can't understand why it hasn't done so well. And maybe it hasn't done so well because you've released it in amongst fucking 8 other fucking AAA titles, and people happen to make the decision of what games to choose, and that's why certain games would get AAA titles that would have got a lot of buys if they released it, say, during the summer when there was no titles released. Would have been a massive, you know, big sale for them. But if you release that same game in amongst 8 other AAA titles, it's obvious that you're not going to get the sales that you want on that game. But anyway, there you go. I'm kind of yeah, just going off track here, but I'd love to know what other people think about backlogs in terms of, well, in terms of retro and current gen. Again, for me, retro, I'm not bothered. Doesn't bother me in the absolute slightest. Current gen, it's been getting on my nerves for quite a while now, and I'm working my way to you know, going back to how I used to play games. So I'd love to know what other people do. I'd love to know what other people think in terms of retro and current gen, and if they feel the same or have got the same problem, you know. Yeah. So does having a backlog of games get on your nerves?